Righto, welcome back to the channel. Bit of an update again. I did film a bit of stuff, bit of making some bits and pieces and whatnot. But I'd filmed it on a different camera, and I'm not really all that happy with the footage. So I'm just going to go and do a bit of a recap on everything that I have done, and yeah, we'll have to catch back up on some more footage of actually working on some things. So I guess where we're at, one thing you may notice is the motor is now in. That is mounted. Does rock back and forward a little bit. Obviously no gearbox and stuff on there, allows a little bit of flex there, but motor's in. I've had to whip these mounts up, so I got these, which are JZA 70 Supra mounts, but they are like I'm assuming they're like like someone makes them obviously and sells them, so they were quite cheap. I got them, they were wrong, so rather than just continuing to try various different engine mounts before I got to an engine mount that worked, when to be fair I kind of feel like nothing was going to work, being that it's a non-VVTi into a 99 model car. The geometries of the car and the geometries of the design of this motor, they just don't line up. Nothing lines up. Everything was way out, so I've just made my own. Now it currently sits as far down and as far back as it can, but as you may see, there is still quite a gap back here. But that's a good thing. I'm welcoming that gap, because that means things like changing gearboxes, any heater hoses that might blow. Not that it has a heater, just the bypass hose. Any of that stuff that I have any dramas with, I can access it all, which is great. So basically that's the engine mount on this side. I just kind of whipped up a plate and things. Like, a lot of it's not visible, so wasn't all that concerned on what they look like, as long as they worked. So as you see, this one's a lot different. But yeah, so I'm not too sure what else I've done that I haven't shown you guys, but a Tomei fuel pressure reg. I'm currently in the process of gathering all the fittings and whatnot required to start plumbing the fuel system up. What I have done is extended and rewired my coil loom to suit my Yaris coil packs, so they are all wired up now. What I actually did have to do was remove my X6 ignition. Now, being that these are a smart coil, I no longer need the ignition box, so basically I took the trigger signal from the ECU and sent that straight to the coil with a positive and a negative, 12 volt switch positive and a negative, and the coil sorts the rest out. So that's a bonus there. Now, as you can see from these ones, I have modified the strut brace to fit. It's not tight or anything yet, but she's in there, she works. I have ran a power cable for the alternator. I am currently debating whether I get a new alternator, because I do have a couple. So I have that one. I think I've actually got two other spares, but they have different plugs on them, which not a huge problem. But I am debating whether I do just bite the bullet and buy a new one, just to make sure I don't have any voltage issues or anything silly like that. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, and we'll test it out, see how it goes. The to-do list still, I have got to extend all my injector wires, and I actually have to shorten my air temp sensor wire. That's actually another thing I've done here, which you probably couldn't see behind the strut brace here, but this plug, this sensor here, I have drilled and tapped in for the temp sensor. So this one here is no longer needed. I probably will just leave it in there to bung the hole off. Currently got the throttle body off. I'm not too sure if I've shown you guys the throttle body or not, but here it is. Now what I've done is cut the original, I could probably show you it here actually. So I've cut this off, so this has all the original water jackets. That's what this line here is. It's the original water jacket that runs through the throttle body, which, to be honest, I don't need. I don't live anywhere near cold enough climate to be needing any kind of throttle body defrosting stuff. So yeah, that's basically shortened down now, so that'll have an elbow welded straight on for the cooler piping. What else have we done? So I'm sure you'll see here I've actually extended my lower control arms by 35mm. I'm hoping it's enough. We'll soon find out. But yeah, that was done on the weekend before the drifts. Had some time, and Sam Temple has fixed me up with some of his knuckles, which also suit JZX100. So if you're in the market for some knuckles, he's the man to go see. Does a very, very, very good job. And much to my surprise, I actually noticed that my ball joints weren't all that great. They weren't shot or anything, but they weren't new by any means. And I noticed when I got them back from him, he's actually gone to the effort and has actually repacked all the ball joints with grease and everything, so they feel like brand new ball joints now. So very very impressed with his skills there. Very, very well worth the money. What else have we done? So we've currently got the doors off. Door cards, I should say. The door's clearly still on the car. So we've got the door cards off. Currently working out the electric windows. Now, it's a very simple setup. None of this, like this will all still be here. Like I'll still have all the factory switches and stuff like that in place. But essentially what happens now is I use one of these toggle switches. So these, I don't know the correct terminology for these sort of style of switch. But as you can see here, I'll try and somewhat explain this, try and get it to sit somewhere so I can explain it to you. So essentially what happens is you have power and earth either side of these middle ones. It doesn't matter what way it goes, because obviously it's a switch, up, down, whatever, doesn't matter, you can just rotate it. And then you have these two. So I don't know really the system how it works, but you've got these two wires. Now one would assume positive, negative. I don't know if it's positive and it's switched by earth, or I really don't know how it exactly works. But those two wires basically will go one on this one and one on this one, and then obviously you can see they cross. So essentially what that means is you get power negative. When you flick that switch up, it gives power negative to this one and this one, which crosses. So then when you flick it down, you actually get the opposite on the other side. So it's between positive, negative on those wires. So if you put positive, negative to those wires, the window will either go up or down, and then you switch them, and that will go the opposite to what it was obviously just done. So that's where this switch basically fixes that problem. Now I need to try and find whether I can actually get this exact switch, because it's a bonus that this switch has, like, I guess it's almost like an auto down function. So just a quick little flick and it's back in the middle again, but up. To go the other way, see it just, whereas you go down and it will lock there. So essentially this is going to be the one on the driver's door. So this one will mount on the driver's door, you know, like here somewhere, whatever. So from the driver's seat, I've got full control of my driver's window. Then in the middle here, it's probably going to have a gang of them, so it'll probably go 1, 2, And then, I don't know, to be fair, I might put the other one, I don't know, I'll put it somewhere there anyway. But it'll all be accessible from the driver's seat, so I can wind all 4 windows down from the driver's seat basically. But so that's one step closer. Like I said in the previous video, I was going to pretty well just use an auto electrician or something to work this out for me, but I've worked it out, so I don't need to outsource for that now. Now the next thing, which I'm going to have to pull some of this stuff off and get in there and have a look, but the next thing is basically being able to put power to a door, at least, probably obviously preferably the driver's door, but basically so I'm able to lock all the other doors, and then I can get out of the car and hit a button or a switch or something and lock the door, because I want to be able to lock and unlock this vehicle, because if I ever drive it on the road or anything like that, I do like the idea of being able to lock it up, especially considering, you know, not much security. What else we've done? That's a very good question. I'm not entirely sure what else I can show you right now, but I have ran, you probably can't see it under the seat there, but I've ran the wiring for the fuel pump. That's all been ran. I have pumped these guards out quite substantially. You'll probably notice and hear the paint flaking off underneath, and I'm not overly happy that the paint flaked. I would have liked to have not, but as you can see by this bow right here, I've had to pump them out quite a ways. So this was to be able to fit 17 9.5 plus 15 under the rear, being that 17 9.5 wheels don't come in much less offset than plus 15. You're very lucky, you might find like a plus 20 or something, but yeah, anything less than that and you're pretty well up shit creek for a 17 9.5. So without running 18s, I really didn't like the idea of stepping up to an 18-inch rear wheel. So the next option was to just start pumping the guards as far as I could possibly get them to clear the 17 9.5 plus 15, and it does clear, so that's a good sign. So basically playing with that guard is basically just probably rub it back up to around here somewhere. There's a few little ripples and stuff here that I'll clean up and tidy up, a little bit of Bondi or whatever, and just, you know, smooth them out. And I probably will get that both quarter panels resprayed, like just touched up. The front guard will probably do the same thing, I'm assuming. I'm going to wait till I get my front wheels on and stuff first before I go pushing those guards out, because I don't like to go too far. But whilst I'm doing those guards and stuff like that, I don't know if I've shown you guys before. Let's see if I can get it up on here, but somewhere along there anyway, around there, there's a big dent in the bonnet, so I'll probably fill that and rub that back and get the bonnet either touched up or resprayed at the same time. Same with the front bar, as you can see. Front bar, seen some better days. It's, you know, she's got a bit scratched up over the time, so I'll probably do that as well. And then while I'm there, I may very well mask off the panel on the roof and get that done at the same time. So everything will be relatively fresh looking. I'll do roof and boot lips, the spoilers as well. But yeah, so that's basically where we're at the moment. Like I said, obviously having the front suspension in, I've just got to get the upper arm still. As you can see, it's just sitting in there at the minute. There's no upper arm, but I reckon that's about where we're at for the minute. I'm constantly doing bits and pieces. I've got some aeroflow I should say, they're not speed flow, but I've got some of these fittings here for the fuel system. So that's the bulkhead fitting for the fuel pump. So what I've decided to do with the fuel pump, which was kind of inevitable that it was going to happen, was basically it's been gutted out completely, and then I'm going to run my own hanger and everything into there and run a Walbro, I think it's a 465 E85 pump and I'm going to run all the submersible E85 hose, and it's basically getting set up for E85 because I wasn't going to do E85, but I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I'm here, I'm setting everything up, I'm not going to do it twice, it's going to cost more money than to do the E85 to start with, so I just set it all up for E85 straight away, and yeah, so it should be straight E85 from day dot. Yeah, as far as that rest of that goes, I think we're at a point now where, you know, it's basically just spend some money. Gearbox, clutch, flywheel, tail shaft, finish the fuel system off, manifold, turbo, cooler piping, everything like that, and then I'll probably be at, I guess, a point where I'm able to start the car, because that's probably the biggest part for me at the moment, is just kind of wanting to get the car running and get the motor running and make sure everything's good, because I guess if I've got any dramas with the engine or anything like that, I want to know now before I get too far into it and be like, car's almost finished, next thing you start it up, things knocking or something silly like that, so that's pretty well it for now. Yeah, I guess I'll have to do some more and get back to you when I've come a bit further. So I think at this stage the next step is I'll probably over the next few days probably extend the wires for the fuel injectors, shorten that wire down for the air temp sensor. I do have to number each of these plugs. I want to get a white paint pen to number those, so then I can pull these off and finish taping the rest of this up to here, so it's a lot neater looking. Now I was going to actually tuck these wires, that was the original plan, and basically it'll look a lot neater. But what I'm a little bit concerned about by doing that is I'm trapping the wires down with the cam covers there, and it's just going to kind of get a lot of heat in there, and I don't really want to soften the wires or do anything silly like that to the wires. So as weird as it looks and as messy as it looks, just having this just kind of just sitting up on top like that, I feel like it's probably going to be good for airflow over the wires and things like that, so nothing gets hot, and just trying to eliminate problems before they arise. I just don't want to have any dramas and not be able to sort of amend them or think oh, this is done for a purpose to look neat and everything, and I've got to pull it all out anyway because it doesn't work. This car isn't about looks, this car is more about function. If it looks good, it works good, that's great, then it's awesome, but there's no point in it looking pretty if it doesn't work. So that's kind of the plan with a lot of this. Like even things like that handbrake bracket that I made, it's not the prettiest thing. It works, it's strong, you don't see it. Its purpose is to hold the handbrake. It does that quite well, so I don't really see the need to be fussing around too much with that sort of stuff and making things look pretty where they don't need to. Things like even the exhaust, I'm doing the exhaust out of stainless, but I'm wrapping the whole probably first half of the exhaust anyway, so as far as the welds and things go, you're not going to see them really anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. So basically this thing is it's a function car. I want it to work, and if something breaks I want to know that I can get to it and can fix it, and it's not because of not putting enough thought into it before I made it. So yeah, a bit of a foolish line rep there. Rest in peace, Davo. Yeah, but that's where we're at the moment. So made a little bit more progress in the last few days and nights. We have now got we now have on the driver's door here, that also has a, if you didn't notice that, an auto up feature. You do just have to flick the switch back though. Now this one here, then over here in the center, which you probably can't see, also have power steering pump hooked up too, which I'm quite happy. Sorry, I'm trying to get out that car, sometimes can be a pain. The only things that I have left now are trying to wire up some sort of switch or something to the door or doors, so I'm able to lock the vehicle and unlock it. But yeah, we'll worry about that later. That's not a huge deal. I've also extended all the fuel injector wires. Just got to work out what plugs I'm going to need for what injectors I'm running. So we now have that as a fuel return. This is the original feed, but I'm thinking I'm going to plug that one up and probably tap and run another one of these as a feed line, and then probably end up just running a soft line down to the original hard line and clamp it on that way. We'll see how it goes. I might be able to get a fitting to adapt the hard line to a fitting, which might probably be a little bit safer, to be fair. Don't want any fuel leaks or anything. It's the last thing I want. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about where we're at for the minute. It's been a few days of working, but oh god. We now also have the front bar and grill on. I have chosen to just use the factory rad support. I was going to make my own, but I don't really see the need to do that. This is all there. It's all made and everything. It's got bolt holes for bolting the oil coolers and power steering coolers and things like that on, so that's all good. Most of the wiring's kind of plugged in at the minute. Obviously engine will come back out at some point, but for now I'm just dummy fitting things. I've also got the brake booster vacuum line hooked up. Yeah, I think that's about where we're at for now. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want or don't. We'll see you on the next ones. Peace.